In 1978, Michael Myers terrorized Laurie Strode, killing several of her friends after he escaped from an insane asylum and returned to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois. Now, 40 years later, the evil is free once more, except now, Laurie is waiting for him. And so sets him forth Halloween, or Halloween 2018, I guess. Yes, this is the big, well, I guess second or third or even say fourth reboot to this franchise that, again, disregards every other film in the franchise. I mean, first you had, obviously, Halloween, and then you had Halloween 2, and then you had Halloween 3, which has nothing to do with it, where they tried to start an anthology thing. Then they returned back to Michael Myers, and then they did Halloween H2O, which basically said everything after Halloween 2 didn't happen, and now you have this film which says everything after the first Halloween didn't happen. And so, yes, basically the film revolves a little bit around a group of basically documentarians. They're actually making an audio for a podcast or something like that instead of, it's not quite with a camera, it's not a film, but they're doing kind of a similar motif, and they try to interview Michael Myers. They even show him his mask because they got it from the state's attorney general for some reason, out of hopes that it would finally make him talk. It doesn't. And afterwards, because Smiths Grove, the asylum, is shutting down, he's being transferred again. The bus overturns and he's freed once more. Like I said, in the meantime, they've also interviewed Laurie Strode. She's turned into a basically doomsday prepping recluse who, you know, lives off the grid. She is twice divorced. She's estranged from her daughter Karen and her granddaughter Allison, though both still live in Haddonfield. She tries to keep a close eye on them, but they kind of don't want anything to do with her. She actually lost custody of Karen at one point, but she, like I said, she trained Karen in the doomsday prepping, but Karen's more interested in trying to help her mother psychologically. And then, like I said, Halloween night, Michael Myers returns home and begins wreaking havoc once more. And it seems to fall to Laurie Strode and her family to defeat him. And so, for the most part, the movie is pretty good. Jamie Lee Curtis has returned to form. It's like she never really left. It's certainly better than, I would say, it's better than H2O, and it's better. It doesn't take much to be better than Halloween Resurrection, but it's better than H2O. I dare even say it's better than Halloween 2. It's not as good as the first one, I'll say that. But after that, we have Judy Greer as Karen. She's an interesting character. Unfortunately, they don't do much with her. Allison, the granddaughter, unfortunately, is just completely boring. The actress, just a sec, it's begins with an A. It's Andy Matichak as Allison. Like I said, she's shown as to be, again, kind of like her grandmother in the sense that she's smart. The difference being, unlike Laurie, Allison has a boyfriend named Cameron. They actually go to a Halloween dance at the high school as Bonnie and Clyde, except it's gender swapped. She is Clyde, he's Bonnie. Unfortunately, that's about the most amount of character development she gets. Unfortunately, something happens causes her to dump her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's friend Oscar then tries to hit on her very clumsily, and yeah, that's about the extent. She does encounter Michael. It turns out, too, this is where we really get into spoiler territory, that Michael's doctor, Dr. Sertan, has been upset, much like Laurie has been obsessing over Michael and Laurie, and he's, once Michael is free, he's trying to talk the police down from killing him because Michael is a ward of the state, he's not supposed to be harmed, and he sort of reveals his true colors because he winds up killing the sheriff as the sheriff tries to kill Michael again. And it's basically he's talking like, no, Michael and Laurie need to meet because they were so affected by that night that they have to meet, and there's going to be some cataclysmic thing or something to that effect. And I don't think there was a scene in this, but I would not be surprised if it turns out that Sertain actually freed Michael on the bus that tipped over. It's implied that Michael just broke free and took over the bus, but Sertain sort of forced his way onto it, and like I said, I would not be surprised if he actually freed Michael, but I didn't see any evidence to say that happened. Again, as the killing goes through, we meet Will Patton's character as the sheriff, Frank Hawkins, and it turns out that he is actually the guy who arrested Michael Myers. Basically, Loomis was going to kill Michael, but Loomis is dead, by the way. He was going to kill Michael, but Hawkins stopped him, and you get like the idea that he knows Laurie, and he seems to have something of, not quite a friendship, but at least some type of working relationship with her. But you don't know if she's hostile toward, like she's angry with him, but she's never like openly hostile towards him either. So I don't know if she's angry. That was another kind of lacking point. Like I said, for the most part, the movie's good. When you get a lot of the doomsday prepping bits, and some of the kills are really well done when he shows up. There's a scene where Allison's friend Vicky is babysitting another kid, a little boy, and her boyfriend comes over and they start fooling around. There's actually no nudity in it. Well, there's one scene of nudity in this movie, and that's because they play the Judith Myers killing from the first Halloween, and that's the only nudity in this. And they're fooling around, and the kid comes out saying there's something in his closet, and she tries to prove it, and he sort of tries to close the door, and she opens it up, and Michael's standing there, and the kid is like, oh shit, he just hightails it out of the, he goes for help, basically. And that was that was one of the real high points of the film. And like I said, those scenes are pretty well done. Unfortunately, the film starts to drag towards the end. You have Laurie, Karen's husband, whose name escapes me at the moment. He's played by Toby Huss. Karen, obviously. Allison is trying to get to this compound that Laurie has. And Michael gets there, he kills Karen's husband. And then it just kind of drags a little bit. You have this... They're trying to play like a cat and mouse game. Unfortunately, it's like... Just get to the damn point. Exactly. It's like... You could have shaved about 10 minutes off of this movie, but we just keep getting the same shots over and over and over again. It gets a little repetitive. And basically, Laurie's house has this trick basement set up where she's stockpiled all those weapons, but in reality it's a trap, and they sort of lure Michael into the basement. He tries to grab, I think it's Karen, and Allison arrives and actually chops off Michael's hand with a knife. At that point, Laurie springs the trap, which basically causes bars to enclose over the opening of the basement so he cannot get out. And she basically starts a gas explosion in the house and starts burning down. They get away. But as we return to the burning house, we go into the basement, and there's no body. So he's not gone. He's still there. And then we end on a weird still shot of Allison's hand clutching the knife that she cut Michael's hand with. I don't know what they're trying to infer with that. I mean, are they going to do not entirely dissimilar from Rob Zombie and kind of say that now Allison's going to take up the killing mantle? And like I said, there were parts of this. The parts of this I really worked. I kind of liked the idea that the doctor, who was so obsessed that he possibly was behind trying to recreate this night. I kind of like again, once Michael escapes, he starts wreaking havoc. He goes after the filmmakers to reclaim his mask. When they pull the mask out, they're at the asylum, and when Aaron, the guy who's the main guy in that, Aaron and Dana are their name, the two documentarians. He pulls the mask out, and all of the other inmates begin reacting to it as well. There is actually something about it. Like there maybe is a supernatural force to Michael Myers. but they don't really go deep enough into it. And like I said, unfortunately, Karen and Allison are not very interesting as characters. They do fall kind of flat, but overall, I did enjoy this film. I'm going to be giving Halloween 2018 a B.
Before watching Fresh Prince.
Pass the ball! This is basketball, not rodeo!
After watching Fresh Prince. Check out The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for a change, Monday on NBC.
Okay, it's trailer time. We got a pretty good mixture of old and new here, so let's go through these. First off, we have a new one in Escape Room. This is the movie about the killer escape room. Those things that have gotten popular recently, the last few years, where you're locked in a room with other people, sometimes friends, sometimes strangers, and you have to work together and solve clues to find the key to escape. Except this is like this big, multi-layered escape room with traps that can kill. So, yeah, that admittedly it did look a little interesting. Maybe a good B-movie night. After that, we had Widows again. Then we had mid-90s. This is my first time seeing this trailer in the theater, but I've seen this trailer on YouTube a bunch of times. It's been playing as an ad, and it's Jonah Hill directed film about a kid in the mid-90s kind of aspiring to get into skateboarding culture and to find success that way. I'm sure it's a little bit more than that, but that's what the trailer always seemed to infer. After that, we had the Pet Sematary remake. The original Pet Sematary is good. Obviously, it's, someone who's had pets in their lives. It's not one of my favorite films, but there are some good aspects to it. Obviously, I don't know. I want to say John Lithgow is in this because the guy looks a lot like John Lithgow and sounds a little bit like him. But I always think of Fred Gwynn in the old man role in that movie, so he's going to have a lot of work to do. After that, we had Captain Marvel again. Then we had, and I apologize for butchering this pronunciation, Curse of La Llorona. This is the new James Wan movie. It's not set in the Conjuring universe, but it's definitely kind of in the Insidious, Conjuring, Annabelle haunting vein. After that, we have Glass again. And then we had Happy Death Day to You, which is the sequel, obviously, to Happy Death Day, which came out... Wow, that came out last year. Was it last year? Or was it 2 years ago? I want to say it was last year. No, maybe it was 2 years ago. I'm sorry. I want to say maybe it was 2016. I can't remember exactly, but I do remember that film. I do remember Happy Death Day. Basically, a horror movie Groundhog's Day, and the character in that finally defeated the evil, and she's allowed to live her life again, and then suddenly she starts reliving the same day over and over again, and she's got to deal with it one more time. And it's actually played a lot more comedically, because when it starts happening again, she is just, no, we're not doing this again, no. And that's how it's just... it did look fairly entertaining. The next movie review is going to be Hunter Killer. The next video is obviously going to be the Incredible Hulk Return of the Monster random trade review. The next movie after Hunter Killer, I want it to be the Suspiria remake, but it might wind up being Nutcracker in the Four Realms instead. It's going to have to come down to whether or not Suspiria comes to the AMC theater here or not. If not, like I said, if it's not, it's going to be Nutcracker. See you all next time. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.